0, 1.
Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you all my exact S&P 500 game plan for tomorrow's market session, which would be October the 20th, okay? So make sure you stay tuned through the whole video so you can learn something new, guaranteed. So from this perspective right now, let me get my big face out of the way to start off. And ultimately, because it's Sunday, we're going to be going a little bit more in depth on the longer term before we go into the day trading perspective. So right now, I think the most characteristic thing to be aware of is that yes, we are in a minor correction, but as you can clearly see, the overall momentum is definitely bullish, okay? So with that bullish information in mind, what really would characterize a shift in the market would be a dramatic move lower, okay? Now, even with that being the mindset, we're still bullish overall because simply that's a three-legged pullback and the market could look to retest the prior high from there, okay? So we are still looking to buy until something catastrophic happens. And that catastrophic moment would more than likely have to be, again, a pullback extreme. And then instead of it retesting the prior high, you'll notice that it actually falls down again, okay, by some extreme. And from that position of weakness, we can now shift gears to change it to bearish and then now look for the market to be shorter term, at least bearish overall, okay? So even with a dramatic fall, we are still basically looking at the market as bullish, okay? So just keep that characteristic in your mind as you kind of progress through the week. Now that we get off the 1 hour time frame, let's go to the 15-minute time frame, okay? Now, the most important characteristic about this is clearly defined by the fact that we have come out of this range and have bearishly descended to the downside. Now, from this position of shorter term weakness, we've actually pulled back with a three-legged pullback into the base, which is going to be the resistance. And now we're actually looking to retest this prior low, okay? So the very first thing that we need to be aware of is that for all the bulls, it's pretty obvious that the level that they're trying to retest right now is going to be 653 and let's just say a quarter, okay? And for us to get down to that specific number, I would assume that we're going to get some sort of variation like so, in which we come down pretty fast and aggressive into this prior low, okay? Now, once we get down to this low, it's very important to note what happens because ultimately a couple things can happen. We are expecting potentially for the market to go down even lower when we will talk about that, but I think it's more subjective that from this low, we should see some sort of bounce, relief, at least for the very few moment, okay? So I would expect at the very least we get some sort of attempt to go back up to now retest these prior highs, situated back at the 670 level, okay? So that's the first variation you need to be aware of as the price action kind of progresses in time and development, all right? A big move down is often going to try to retest that low, and we have yet to retest the low just barely right here. So objectively, we are still looking for that movement, okay? Now, to pair this what we talked about earlier, we would assume by just percentages, okay, we would assume that this is going to be bullish. But based on the longer term perspective that we just looked at earlier on in the video, we can now prepare for something a bit more bearish, okay? Now, in that bearish nature, we would expect the market to break through this low by a substantial degree, in which you can clearly see defined like so, okay? Now, we need to be aware that we don't get to these prior lows that we are finding as support before this motion happens, because that will change the momentum play that we need to get into. But for right now, if we do break through let's just say 51.5 substantially, we would expect a continuation pattern for the bearishness highlighted here in pink, okay? So let me kind of just scoot this off of the screen so it doesn't get too crazy. And again, from that position of weakness, I know it looks weak, but on the bigger term perspective, we've already covered the fact that we should be looking for a major recovery overall in the market, in which we look for a potential rebound all the way back up to some of these prior highs, okay? To kind of tie everything in. And if we don't, then we should see what is like basically, as you can see here, a momentary recovery that ultimately ends in us going back down substantially lower. And this is just to make things a little bit more one-to-one scale, as what we talked about earlier on the bigger time frame here, okay? So let's just get rid of this and we can kind of look at the market in terms of these two perspectives. Now, as you can clearly see, the bull case scenario is fairly similar in looking for that rotation going back up. And that is again because of the fact that overall we are still bullish in the market until we break through some of these levels of support highlighted here with the dotted lines that on the cash market sits somewhere right around that 643 and 3/4 area. Okay. So again, everyone, these are going to be the highlighted scenarios that I'm looking at for tomorrow's market session. Major support is at 652 1/4, so we are expecting bounces. If we don't, then we should expect continuations where we can now sell. Once we get to 643, we would be expecting a major recovery in the market. If we don't, then systems are getting a little weird, and we need to be concerned of a overall bigger correction at hand, highlighted here in red. Now, the last thing that I think we need to cover is the effect of what happens if we go up higher, okay? Now, this blue bar that's situated in the center is there for the fact that we are in a range potentially in that little scenario right here, okay? So if we do go up higher, we would expect more than likely for it to be the full distance underneath to be the distance above, okay? So in that push going up higher, it's not really advisable to try to buy this thing unless you're really trying to get in underneath some of these pivot lows just because of the old like momentum of the market right now. But if you are trying to get in, make sure you buy as low as possible as the market looks to rotate back up higher. This is going to be one of those scenarios where you kind of want to sit on hand unless you know exactly what you're doing as far as risk to reward. But again, in this scenario, if we rotate back up higher, we could look to get in just underneath this low, expecting the market to now rotate again all the way back up to this prior high based on the swing low, okay? Which is pretty close to us getting back up to this prior high as well. And as I end things, just like I mentioned before, all big moves like to try to retest the prior high or prior low. So what we have right here is a big move that's gone up. And right now, all of it could do is just pull back, retest the high. Now, the converging factor is the fact that we have that bigger move conflicting with the shorter term perspective that we have a big move going down, which is why we have all these different variations that are here on the chart. Okay. So again, everyone, if you found this video to be helpful for you, or at least kind of dumb down some of the specifics that you need to be aware of in tomorrow's market session, then feel free to like and subscribe, and make sure you all join me tomorrow morning at 9:30, where I have a live stream. So you can see me trade the S&P 500 on the futures chart, trading with NinjaTrader in the morning. So you can see exactly using the same concepts that I talked about today. You can see me do tomorrow. And you can unlock all the specialness that comes with being a professional trader, okay? So again, everyone, I just want to say thank you for giving me some of your time, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow morning in the live stream, okay? Look down below for all the Discord links and all the good stuff, and I will see you all on the very next candle.
I know it's hard to trust so-called gurus. That's why I live stream my trades every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. The live stream isn't for you to copy my trades, it's to show proof and credibility that my strategy works. The stream is delayed and muted to protect my edge. But if you want to see everything unmuted and in real time, check out the Discord and Patreon links below. You'll get exclusive perks and the opportunity to learn the system for yourself, so you don't miss great opportunities just like this one.
So you can see the chart here. All right, so what we have here overall was kind of a unique situation because we were expecting a whole bunch of different things, and ultimately what we ended up getting was a potential range rotation as well as just a continuation off of the bigger move. Okay, so that being said, the low of this was kind of a unique entry. Okay, this is a Gore pattern to the T, and with this you can see it's more of a cascading rising higher high, and which gives us a nice entry off the base of this channel. Okay, now that being said, the entry was a bit robust and big, leaving me to not be able to enter in ideally above the candle. So I ended up having to actually place my entry underneath based on the correct entry level. Okay, that's what you're basically seeing right now. So with that being said, as soon as market action pulled back some, I do believe we entered in right here. Yes. So with us entering in right here, now we're going to use our volatility-based algo that you will get as a tier 3 member. And this will basically allow you to understand where to put your stop loss based on the day's volatility. So with that being said, as I adjust this, I'm going to fast forward just a bit so this doesn't take all day. But as you can see, we have our stop loss now there at the lows, which is equal to our stop loss at the highs coincidentally. And then we use other levels objectively above to get our second and third targets, okay? As you can see here, after we did pull back and kind of danced around a bit, we ultimately ended up, if I continue to fast forward this, you can see in just a second, we did get our first target, and we did get our second target right here. Oh, excuse me, right in a second. We did move our stop loss up because we got our first target. Sorry about that. Then we got our second target right there. And now it's just a matter of are we gonna get our last target? So there is a rhyme and reason to how we kind of trail, just so you know. But in this instance, as you can see, as we steady started to creep up dramatically closer to our target, we essentially maintained our stop loss closer as well. So as it continued to push up, we continue to push up as well. There is a trade secret for this, so don't fret. When you do become a member, you'll learn this. But in general, it just allows us to stay in as best we can, okay? So as you can see, our target was up there. We adjusted accordingly, and we did end up getting stopped out before the target high, although I did adjust the target high just a bit. So we ended up getting pretty much all the move, okay? So that being said, everyone, this was the trade of the week that you'll be seeing pretty much in all the videos for today or for this week. And if you don't want to miss opportunities just like this, then simply look down below for the description so you can get access to the Discord/Patreon, okay? Thanks for watching. See you on the next candle.